My most anticipated anime game of 2023 is 7 Deadly Sins Origins. That's what I would tell you if you asked me that question earlier this week. But today, after seeing the first gameplay, I'm not so sure anymore. My initial reaction to 7 Deadly Sins Origins gameplay was not the best. But I've been able to sit down, digest the gameplay a little bit, and you know what? We'll talk about it and break it all down after you watch this reaction. What language is that? Okay, we're playing the game. That's Korean, right? Korean? We're getting some cuts. I was actually expecting just some raw gameplay. But if we're getting a gameplay trailer, I'm fine with that too. As long as, like, they show the game and not just, like, a bunch of different cuts. I'm so excited for this. Like, this game is gonna make me read the 7 Deadly Sins manga. Like, the anime, I gave up on it. No shot. I'm not doing it. But it's gonna make me read the manga. It's how much I'm looking forward to it. Just play! No! Oh, okay. I was like, why are you cutting now? Now that we got to gameplay? Why are you cutting? Alright, so we're gonna see some combat. Okay, character switching. We saw that already, but we hold the button. Stamina is being spent. That's very Genshin. For like a strong attack sort of deal. Damn, he charged that attack all the way up. Do we have one ability in the center of the screen and that's it? I think so. It's like switch characters and throw the one ability. Oh wait, there's something else next to the health bar. So 2 abilities per character? That's not a lot. This mobility stuff though. Oh, that's what the ability was. Next to the portraits. It was the movement ability. Movement is so important, man. It's an open world game and like you're gonna be running back and forth, doing all sorts of quests, grinding your dailies and stuff. Like movement has to be satisfying. Alright, simple puzzle. Move the rock for one plate and use your body for the other plate. I gotta say, this looks downgraded, doesn't it? Compared to other trailers in the past? That's been bothering me. Like, I am super excited for this still, but 2 things were slightly disappointing. 1, are we only getting 1 ability per character? And 2, this looks downgraded. Right? Give me a second. I need to check the previous trailers and compare them side by side. That's just the impression I got right now, but I want to be speaking facts. Okay, now the downgrade is super obvious. This is night and day. This is what it used to look like, and this is what it looks like right now. Now, are they working their way up to how it used to look in the other trailers? Or are we just gonna get a downgraded version and they clickbaited us? Here's the thing that leaves me somewhat hopeful. This is the GDC, the Game Developers Conference. This is not really aimed at gamers, it's more aimed at game developers. Sometimes gamers get some stuff out of the GDC, but that's not the primary purpose. So maybe the focus was something else, but I mean, Netmarble posted this as like the first gameplay on their official YouTube channel. Like, that's just public. That's not for game developers, that's for everyone. The visual downgrade really stuck with me. I felt deceived, like many other gamers probably did. Downgrades aren't great. It's sometimes a very malicious practice, especially when developers know they won't be able to hit those visuals, and that's how they advertise their game in trailers. Other times it's not so malicious. Sometimes that is their vision, that is their initial build, but as they keep building the game and adding more and more into it, they realize they can't pull that level of fidelity. Either way, it's bad news for everybody. That said, during this whole gameplay demo, the visual downgrade only happened in a couple of places. They really stick out, and that's why the whole gameplay is kind of ruined for me. But if you look at enemy design, if you look at the environment, if you look at everything else, it looks great. What they didn't do was give you these big wide shots that are very populated, full of enemies and full of particle effects and just alive. Stuff they had shown in the previous trailers. They didn't do that here, so we don't know if that's in the final game or not. If it is, they just missed one hell of an opportunity to get us even more hyped for this. But the fact they didn't show it, along with some visual downgrades, does make me worried. Now, it's not all bad news, so let's go through the trailer once more and break it all down. I'll take you through all my discoveries, everything I figured out based on this gameplay after watching it a bunch of times now. Now, I don't want to look into this first section too much. It does look like a story-based nice thing that will probably happen once or twice during your gameplay, so it won't really be part of the core experience, so to speak. This cutscene is bad. This is one of the biggest downgrades. It's this character model. And maybe it wasn't even downgraded, it just wasn't filmed this close to the camera ever. And now that you see it for the first time, you're like, this doesn't look as good as I thought. But yeah, this was the first big shock, and it's right at the start of the trailer, and it kind of taints the experience for the rest of it. Now, I don't know what this orb is, but once it gets touched, it shoots a ray into the sky, and this world that was looking very yellow suddenly is looking very alive. So if I had to guess, I'd say this is how you're going to unlock new areas in the world, and this is also probably how the game starts. It starts with you touching this thing, unlocking a new area, and now you can explore it at will. That's if I had to guess, but I don't. There's a small clip of Tristan writing him out. Tristan seems to be the main character for this game. I didn't know who he was, since I'm still anime only. I do promise you I will read the manga. I went into Wikipedia and I saw who he is, and it's like, okay, that's a spoiler. So, you know, just don't say it in the comments for people that are anime only right now. Just know that the main character is called Tristan, and he's a big deal. Some enemies spawn, and we have our first combat gameplay. Now, at first, I was disappointed, and that's because I thought combat is just going to be melee attacks. Maybe you hold a melee attack for a strong move, and then you have your ultimate in the middle of the screen. That's not exactly what it is. You see, on the bottom right, you have character portraits, but you also have Tristan's portrait, who is currently the active character. And if you tap the portrait, that is also an ability. That is the first ability that you see in this combat encounter. It is the player tapping the Tristan portrait. And then they tap the ultimate button, and that's when you see this whole cutscene happening. To the left of that, there's also a movement ability, but we did not see what Tristan's movement ability is. We do see one being used later in the trailer, but for now, we switch characters. And when switching characters, you will notice that the next character comes in with an ability. Unfortunately, that's all you get right there, so we move on to the next clip, which tells us a lot. In this next clip, notice that the weapon Tristan is holding is completely different. So your characters will not be weapon locked to a single type. Maybe everyone else will be, except for Tristan, who is the main character. That could very well be the case. I mean, I cannot imagine King with a claymore. That doesn't sound very accurate. But the fact that Tristan can switch weapons and have a completely different playstyle, I think that's gonna keep gameplay fresh for a little bit more than it would if there were only melee attacks, strong attacks, and 2 abilities. So with a claymore, we're gonna see a strong attack because this spinning move is spending stamina. It seems like you can hold it for as long as you want, as long as you have the stamina to use it. And then the ultimate ability is very different from the previous one, as you can see. We switch to another enemy, and once again, Tristan has switched weapons. This time he has a longsword. And when he switches to Gil Thunder, he comes in with an ability. So that ability is now on cooldown, but he still has his ultimate if he wishes to use it. He doesn't do it. Instead, he switches characters once again. And you might notice that the icon on the left, next to the health bar, the movement ability keeps switching too. So everyone has a different movement ability in this game, and that could be really great for puzzles, it could be great for traversal, it could be great maybe even for combat. There's a lot of potential there in that movement ability given the amount of characters that are present in this game so far. Here's where we see the first movement ability being used. It's sort of a grappling hook used to gain some height. The gliding is probably universal. It might have different effects, it might have a different visual. In this case, she summons a creature, a flying pig, but I believe we've seen King ride his pillow in another gameplay trailer. Also, very important, there is underwater swimming and exploration, even though your quest is to gather royal apples. You only have 1 out of 10, and I bet those apples are not underwater. Then we have a very basic puzzle. Just move the rock into the pressure plate, stand on the other pressure plate yourself. Voila, door opens. It's a very basic puzzle. I usually like puzzles like these in open world games, but these types of games often make the mistake of just making the puzzles brain dead easy. Obviously, you need to have stuff like this to teach the player about these mechanics, but how good it is, I find that it often depends on how far do they take them. And this is not a big hint as to how far they will take them, it's just the basic puzzle. But what do we see there? Leaning against the wall of the cave, is that a spear? Yeah, it looks like you're gonna get some loot, and that's most likely how you equip the different weapons on Tristan. Then we have a dual wield ultimate. It's in a cutscene, so probably just a scripted thing and not his actual ultimate. Cut to the logo, and that is the gameplay demo from the GDC. I mean, there's potential here, and I'm still excited to play this game, and I will probably still read the manga. Is this my most anticipated anime game of 2023? Probably not anymore, because the mind-blowing factor that these trailers had was completely lost here. That said, I'll keep covering it here on the channel. I'll keep giving you any updates that come by, because ultimately, I still want to play this. And if you're anything like me, you're probably excited to play this still despite the downgrade. I mean, you're probably also excited to play Naruto Storm Connections and Budokai Tenkaichi 4, right? Those two games are the kings of expectations being met or misled, and I talk about all of that right here in this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.